Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload is, as you can tell by the title of this video, why a historic winter may be in the making, or why historic winter is headed our way. So you may be thinking this is clickbait just to get views. No, I strongly believe that this winter 2019-2020 will be a historic winter. That's why I made this video. Anyone that watches my channel knows that my forecasts are usually, what I actually think. I don't make up anything. I don't have an agenda to follow. I give what I think, and what I think is based on scientific data. So, it's not clickbait. I think this may be similar to the 2013-2014 winter, and that one was, historic by all means. So if you like these type of videos, this channel is all about making weather videos, making weather updates, long range outlooks. I do all, from January to December, each year, year after year, as long as I can continue, I will be continuing making these videos. So consider subscribing, consider liking this video. It really means a lot, and I really appreciate everyone that does subscribe. Thank you so much. Let's get into it. So again, consider subscribing, but this is my temperature outlook for the winter, and you can see this is for a good portion of the northern U.S. and eastern U.S. will be rather chilly. The purple is the coldest temperatures. The darker blue is a little bit colder. Less cold, but still cold. And the light blue is still cold as well, below average. And then I think the winter will be above average for the Southwest. So if you're living in the Southwest, this may not apply to you. This quote historic winter, may not really be historic for your location in terms of the snowfall. But I do think it will be historic, possibly being very warm and dry. Now, this is what I think right now. This may change, yes, but this is why, a historic winter may be headed our way. So, you notice that I also have a little bit of warmth across the southeast. I'm not too sure about that at this point. It seems like this cold air will just really penetrate even further than I thought. And if I were to remake this graph, which just was made back in September, I would include all of this. And this was my winter outlook, cold temperatures for the cold. This was my snowfall forecast. I have a little different graphic I'll show you in just a minute, but I am confident that these locations in eastern U.S. will be seeing above average snowfall for the year. But I would also like to indicate or show that these locations right here will also be showing some signs of a snowy winter, and possibly the northwest. Southwest, really across these locations, it seems like it has the least chance of seeing a snowy winter, but even places like Texas could still be part of this blue and see this the snowy winter. So let's move on forward. Now this is a little bit of why I think it may be a historic winter. So this is the probabilistic ENSO outlook. It has been updated in November, basically the same thing. It's gonna be a neutral year through the northern hemisphere, spring 2020, and a neutral ENSO was the 2013-2014 winter, just for comparison. And that was, if you remember, very, very snowy, very cold for the eastern and northern U.S. Chicago, sorry about that. Chicago got the second snowiest winter on record. No, sorry, third snowiest or second. No, I think it was second snowiest winter on record. So that was insane. I remember that the snow piles were 3 times the size of me. Now, again, I was in 6th grade, but that's how it was, just massive, historic. And notice this was issued November 4th, so a little bit more updated than the other graph, but you can see it goes up to possibly maybe around the El Nino mark, around the November time frame around now, but it really just stays in neutral for most of the time. La Nina, not really. El Nino, not really. Let me draw out where the El Nino, La Nina lines would be. This is an El Nino. This is a La Nina. You can see 90% of the models are in between here. What happens afterwards, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see for next winter. Still way too far ahead, but as of now, neutral winter. What does that mean? You can see neutral winter pattern is really powerful and doesn't happen all too often. Again, the last time we had that was the 2013-2014 winter. So El Nino, La Nina happen more often than this, way more often. They happen interchangeably. However, neutral ENSO is much more unusual, as usually, the two phases are predominant, and the in-between kind of phase, it doesn't really stick around for too long. But, if it does, and these are the impacts, you can see polar jet stream dipping way into the southern U.S. I foresee this year it will be even further to the south than previous winters, neutral winters, because of this warm Pacific air right here, or water, which will increase the chances for this warm air to rise, create a high pressure, and once that happens, the jet stream just even more gets amplified over Alaska and gets sent even further down into the U.S. This is kind of what I compare it to, a rubber band effect. I'm going to call it that. I've been using this rubber band comparison for a while, and I may just coin it the rubber band effect. So, if you have a rubber band taut on two poles and you pull it back this way, where is it going to go? It's not going to go into its starting position and just end up right there. It's gonna most likely, it is not most likely. It is gonna bounce way back here, and then go a little bit further back, and before it, kind of settles itself in that original area. Same thing with jet stream. It gets kind of pulled right here and released, and in order to, in order to really, it put itself in equilibrium, or where it was before, it takes a dip down, then it takes the dip back up, and it kind of goes slower and slower. But eventually, that's what it does. So it's interesting, how such unusual things, waters off the South American coast, the ENSO, may impact the winters to such a great extent. And I want to show you that. Look at this is what the waters are looking right now. Very, very warm, and they're continuing to be warm. So that is, very, very good news. If you're a cold lover, that is, but maybe not for the people that don't like cold weather. But if you're a snowplow driver and you live in eastern, northern U.S., all I can think of is good news for you. Seriously, these things are going to be, really increasing. These are things that are going to be really increasing your job. Seriously, some of these amounts of snow could be ridiculous for the eastern U.S. with this pattern. So this is what I truly think historic U.S. Historic winter setting up. Look at the pattern we have going on across November right now. We are seriously looking at, already very cold temperatures. We already broke a record here in Chicago for the coldest day. Coldest November 11th ever on record, so that that's interesting to note, and it's ridiculous, that we're already starting up to such a strong start. This was a winter of 2013, 2014. This was the winter, you could see, just brutal cold. This was from December through February, so that are classic winter months, and notice how it was -4 degrees across this area, really widespread area. And really, the eastern U.S., southern U.S., into the north central United States, and into parts of the northwest as well, while the southwest remain warm, which I think will happen again this year. This was my winter outlook, by the way, and I kind of want to put it up here, to show you that I've been advertising a pretty historic winter already in my past videos, as you can tell by my winter outlook. You can see I've already put some heavy lake effects for the lakes, so that could be historic in that sense. A lot of snow may be falling for those locations. Potential, sorry if I was away from the mic a little bit. Potential for Arctic areas, you can see right here across the upper Midwest and into Minnesota, North Dakota, Wisconsin, Illinois. This could definitely extend even further, but I decided to put snow and cold for these locations. That's what it will mainly be known for. The cold air, or exploding from the north end of the Alberta Clippers coming along, and lots of panhandle hookers probably this year as well. So that's very interesting as well. Notice I just put cold across these locations. The Northeast will be very snowy as well. Blizzards, I think that's another factor. I think the Northeast may see, a couple, and maybe not just one, but couple blockbuster snowstorms that will be occurring across these locations in the eastern U.S., and that could really be just, a historic event. How we had Winter Storm Jonas. I'm not saying we will see something like that. Well, I basically am. I'm saying that we might, the chances are definitely elevated. So, not 100%, but I'm saying that if it were to occur in any given winter, I'm saying that that's when it would occur. Notice how for these locations in the southeast, the Tennessee, Mid-Atlantic, the South, area I have the pink. I just think it will be snowy there overall. We've already seen snow this year already for those locations. Again, that's rare, unusual. I think that trend will continue. Wet and snowy for the south may seem contradictory, but it depends on how cold the air will be that infiltrates down there. If it's cold enough, snow. If it's not cold enough, just wet and above average precip. And notice how I included a dark green over these locations. Okay, I don't think these locations will see snow in these dark green, but I think they could definitely see the below average temperature still. Battle zone. This is kind of the area where it could be the difference between the warm and dry of the southwest and the snow and cold. So these locations may still see, still end up seeing a pretty cold winter if things are a little bit more biased or favorable for the cold. If the warm and dry area is a little bit more bigger than expected, then this may be warmer. That's why it's kind of the battle zone. These locations, this one right here is average, so I think it will not really be either cold or warm really. If anything, it will be a little bit on the colder side, but I just put average because overall the winter should turn out to be average. As the warm will push in once in a while, the cold will push in once in a while. A little bit different than this because this could, end up being totally cold. But here I just put, I think it will just be a back and forth, not really either. Though some indications are showing that could be on the colder side. Possible cold for the northwest, I'm including that because some people are putting really warm conditions for them. I'm pretty sure, that they might see a couple of cold shots that are going to be impressive and bring some snow as well. So I just put that in as my highlight for the winter, and this is obviously for this winter. So yeah, that is basically it for today's video, guys. I just wanted to include this, show you this video that historic winter is on its way, or it may be on its way. And, if I'm wrong, then, I apologize. But I really don't think, I will be wrong, as there's just so many things pointing towards this. I would be mistaken and foolish not to take this initiative if there's so many things showing towards this. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Consider liking the video. Consider subscribing to the channel. I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya.